Hi everyone, a very good evening. Welcome to TeamLease webinar. We're going to wait for a few seconds for our audiences to join. Welcome to all the participants who are just joining us. Hi everyone, hello there, welcome. Right. Hi, good evening, everyone. Since we have most of our attendees joining here, welcome to another episode of TeamLease Digital webinar. We've been bringing a lot of different topics and discussions to you in our series of webinars. We've done something to do with talent, we've done on skilling, upskilling, we've done on GCCs, and so on and so forth. Today's webinar is very close to heart, something that we've been wanting to do for a while now, something which has been not in the forefront, not spoken about too very often, but very important in today's market situation, in today's building businesses that we have. And it's all to do about procurement, sourcing, and whatever terminology we may want to use for this unit and group of people. Global sourcing has undergone a fundamental shift from purely just being a cost driven to becoming a capability driven unit. At the heart of this evolution lies something which is the people supply chain. As the procurement functions growing more strategic, tech-enabled, and digitally integrated, organizations now are rethinking how they attract, develop, and retain the top procurement talent. In an increasingly dynamic and complex environment, the challenge is no longer just about sourcing goods and materials, but it's also about sourcing professionals who can manage supplier diversity, contract complexity, digital transformation, and ESG compliances. This is all while navigating constant global disruptions. This exclusive webinar is here to bring together leading voices in procurement and supply chain to explore how future-ready organizations are designing scale, agility, resilience, and high-performing procurement teams. From establishing global sourcing hubs and center of excellences in India to adopting flexible staffing models and predictive talent pipeline, we'll cover and uncover these strategies shaping the next generation of procurement excellence. Thank you for joining us today as we decode what it takes to build a procurement workforce that's ready for what's next. We have some very exciting panelists and leading members of the industry joining us today to share their opinions and views. We'd like to call out that all opinions and views discussed here are strictly individual and do not correlate or are directly in relation to any organization as such. So let's welcome our panelists for today. We have firstly Mr. Ravi BR, Senior Manager, Global Indirect Procurement, Comsco. Hi,
Good
Ravi.
evening, all. Hi, Mudra. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Nice
Ravi
to
has
meet you.
25 years of experience in procurement. He brings in expertise in both regional and global sourcing functions, spending 13 years with Motorola India and 4 years at Aris, playing a key role in strengthening procurement operations and driving strategic sourcing initiatives. Following the acquisition of Aris by Comscorp in 2019, Ravi transitioned himself into a global procurement role, supporting the R&D categories across worldwide operations. His ability to manage complex cross-functional procurement activities has been instrumental in aligning strategies across business goals. Ravi has also served as a critical member of the regional procurement teams for EMEA and APAC for over 8 years. Building a strong understanding of local supplier ecosystem and operational dynamics, he currently leads indirect procurement at Comscore, managing end-to-end processes and reporting functions. Welcome on board, Ravi. Once again, happy to have you with us.
Thank you, Manira. Happy to be here. Good evening, all.
Next, we have Mr. Ajay Singh, Chief People Supply Chain Officer and Vice President, Hindustan Platinum. Welcome, Ajay.
Yeah, good evening, Manera, and good evening to all listeners.
Ajay is a distinguished supply chain transformation leader with 30 years of proven experience in diverse industries that include heavy industrial, electrical, electronics, automobile, telecom, specialty chemicals, and the list is endless. His extensive experience encompasses the full spectrum of delivering in supply chain from structural to operational, both tactical and strategic. Currently, Ajay serves as the Chief Supply Chain Officer and Vice President at Hindustan Platinum. He plays a pivotal role in shaping and optimizing and leading end-to-end supply chain functions. His leadership is central to enhancing operational efficiency, resilience, and value creation for the organization. Renowned for his ability to drive transformational change, Ajay has earned several prestigious accolades recognizing his strategy vision, execution excellence, and impact on the industry. His career stands as a testament to innovation, leadership, and a relentless commitment to operational excellence in supply chain management. Happy to have you, Ajay, with us.
Thank you, Manera. Thank you. Thanks for having me in this webinar.
Thank you, Ajay. We have Mr. Samrat Patil, Global Procurement Head at L&T Technology Services. Hello, Samrat. Welcome to TeamLease webinar.
Yeah, hi, Munira. Good evening. Good evening, all.
Samrat is the global procurement head at L&T with over 20 years of rich experience based out in Pune, cross-industry, spanning across manufacturing, mining, FMCG, services as a sector. He has consistently delivered value across the procurement spectrum, from strategic initiatives, tactical sourcing, to S2P platform deployment and process optimization. Throughout his career, Samrat has successfully led cross-functional teams, championed initiatives that tightly align procurement strategies. Under the broader business spectrum, a strong advocate for innovation and operational excellence, he's always focused on building agile, scalable, and globally integrated people supply chain solutions. Samrat's leadership continues to enable procurement transformation through data-driven decision making, digitalization, and talent-centric strategies that deliver measurable business impact. Welcome, Samrat. Happy to have you with us.
Thank you.
Great. So, with such immense leaders, I really am not sure whether I'll be able to cope up to their expectations and to our viewers, but we are here to have some amazing discussion on how the entire global procurement supply chain family is contributing to the shifts that the industry is making towards AI, automation, the entire outsourcing model, and so on and so forth. Let us quickly start without any delays, and I'd like to pick up a first point of discussion with Mr. Ajay. Ajay, tell us how the global skill demand that is shifting rapidly with AI and automation, how are procurement teams redesigning their people sourcing models to stay ahead in the ecosystem?
See, that traditionally procurement or supply chain function was basically we evolved in last 20-25 years where it all started with implementation of ERP system. I think what else we have been post 2000, we had seen a lot of revolution happened in ERP implementation, whether SAP or any ERP revolution across continents, across geographic region. And I think that is the first wave we have seen it when the digital mode of thing has happened, prior to which it was all manual contracts, manual purchase ordering system or any follow-ups for us when we started our own career. So we have seen the revolution in phases. Uh, when you talk about the current changes in complete procurement skill shifting, as I think it uh, is very rightly moving towards technological changes, which is very specific to model like we are using like AI or ML or what maximum what I've seen it in between phases is the RPA, like robotic process automation, which has transformed the complete digital transformation from manual processing of humongous task of purchase orders, what we used to have. And then there are a lot of organization are using the NLP, right, natural language processing, where a lot of data is being processed from the erstwhile analog data to a digital log, which is really is a shift. I think what been happening, and with the efficiency, if you see it from that angle, roughly close to what I have been observing and closely watching across this digital era, is efficiency movement of close to around 60% change rapidly, which is happening with the change of this efficiency model. When you talk about the cost efficiency in this, it is a judgmental thing, but still I can see around 40 to 50% cost optimization models. I will not say cost saving proposition, but cost optimization models have been seen in these changes, which is really giving an edge for a decision making process. I think that is very important for a new global changes. What is happening is the skill being there, which forcing for a decision making process. I think that is one of the real evolution is happening. There are a lot of thing on the fraud detections. I think when you talk about digital era movement, then a lot of things are happening where fraud things are happening. I think we as a procurement or supply chain people are every day we are seeing that how this fraud is being happening, and so how to detect this fraud. So I think the skill levels are changing in very enormous way. I think that is it we have become a not a like a simple supply chain or a procurement person, but we have to see from the holistic angle of considering all the aspect of contracting, whether it is including the frauds, including the biggest model which is transforming now. If you see the supplier relationship management, right, which is really taking a center of nerves in each of the parameter. So if you see the skill which is shifting towards is right from the specialist to a generalist. I think we can elaborate more on that. But the
Yeah.
shift is happening in that domain. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think interesting point. And Samrat, while Ajay spoke about the overall evolution of seeing a era of where we had more manual processes and now we moving to more data and digital processes. So between the traditional model of hiring and outsourcing, in procurement, we're moving towards a more hybrid talent procurement strategy. How do you think organizations are able to balance between the build versus buy and buy versus borrow, as a plan of work?
So, Munir, I think Ajay touched upon a lot of valid points. How the shift is moving from generic skill set to specialized,
Yeah.
where industry is heading, what are the expectations from the procurement, how we are moving from analog to digital. So, obviously, there are a lot of things which are changing very dynamically, very rapidly. Uh, and traditionally, we were depending upon either having the in-house talent, getting an opportunity, they grow within the organization and take that responsibility. But now, uh, uh, the, the the way the things are shaping up, uh, we don't have that kind of time and luxury. I'm not saying that we should not be maybe giving an opportunity to in-house talent, but we have to see what are the other opportunities where we can bridge that gap, where we can bring an agility and meet the customer expectations and business demand. Okay, so that's where we're seeing that shift from in-house talent, wherever the skill sets are required. Maybe we can just focus. There are certain organizations who have that engineering academies or the maybe the functions which just focuses on building the skills and competencies. But is that sufficient? No. So we have to see beyond that operations.
True.
Wherever there are niche skills are required, definitely we need to go and hire it from the market. So that's where we call buy. maybe that will help us to maybe get the skilled people to meet the demanding requirement with this change in technology, the niche skills in the AI, machine learning, that kind of stuff, which is not readily available in house. We can hire it from the market. But apart from that, I'm seeing one more shift where with this the entire ecosystem changing, we are having an opportunity to hire the consultant, the people who are having that maybe uh,
The relevant skill probably, but not
exactly.
the hands-on experience. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think people should be open for all the options,
True.
whatever they demand, whatever the need that we are having. Definitely, we can look for the alternate options which are available in today's maybe market, and then go for it.
Wonderful. Great, great. That's really nice to hear, Samrat. Thank you. Ravi, you've heard both Ajay and Samrat speaking on
Yes.
the evolution and Samrat talking about what the talent and what is that the methods would look like. Asking a very interesting question to you and saying that in procurement as a field in older days when we speak about sourcing materials and goods, probably I wouldn't call it easy, but the method was saying that I see four different products and then I make my decision, right? In a people supply chain ecosystem, how does procurement today, or what are the few things that procurement today is facing as a challenge before they identify the right set of partners? Partners who are people partner supply chain, who bring skill, and
Yeah,
talent,
yeah.
who bring services, who don't bring products. So tell us something about what are the challenges and what is that, today's procurement is doing to kind of overcome these challenges.
Okay. I think Ajay and Samrat brought very good points, basically giving us the evolution of completely from analog to digital. Now we're in the next phase. So today what is happening is every company has something called a core area, which is the core engineering, which they want to retain and they want to retain with the in-house talent. But there are several activities which has to be done for that core area to be become part of the product. And that is where we discuss with the business leaders, understand what exactly they want to outsource. So the skill there becomes the critical part, Munira. So once we understand what the skill is, then it starts the sourcing activity where we identify the key players in that particular activity. And trust me, some of these niche skills we are not able to even find from big names. So we have today so many niche players in the market, and we go to such organizations where there is better leverage, and also the critical thing is time to market. See how quickly that particular partner can give us the skill set. Maybe it's in few weeks, or maybe not more than a month. So that is the time critical thing which becomes crucial for decision making. And also that will give us a good leverage to go back and talk to business, saying that if you go, if we have the two three options, then now pick what best suits for us. So what I have seen in the recent experience is the time to market is really becoming crucial.
Crucial.
Wherever the company is able to go quickly to the market and then be the first person to I would say release the product, that is where they hold the edge, right? So that is becoming crucial. And I'll tell you honestly, like Ajay was mentioning, a lot of challenges in the initial days. Today we have lot of AI tools and basic tools, even procurement tools like SAP or Oracle, right? We also have e-auction tools. So those tools are really helping us. We can talk to the partners, quickly do an e-auction, give them 24, 48 hours to get the responses back. And trust me, within 1 week, we're able to decide and then move ahead. So, and also even the agreements are now shared electronically. So we also get the agreements back, which is all redlined version, easy for our legal to review. So we get on a call with our legal, quickly go through the what are the red lines, and decision making is actually very quick, very dynamic. But that also comes in with a lot of stress to the whole team, right? Because everybody has a deadline to complete. So when we say we have to finish the whole cycle in 1 week, which would have taken 6 to 7 weeks in my earlier days, maybe 2 decades back. Today we are doing all those things in 1 week. Trust me. Monday morning we start, Friday evening we're able to finish, decide the vendor, then give it back to business. Here it is, take it and then move forward. So such is the dynamism what we are working on, and that definitely comes with lot of, we should have also have the right people with right skill set. Otherwise, the whole thing will become more challenging. So
Okay.
that's how I think the whole thing has transformed, to tell you in a simple way, and that's how people also got used to it working in this model, and that's really giving good results to the organizations.
Interesting. Follow-up question to that, Ravi, and I'd like to have views from Ajay and Samrat also. Everyone, you also spoke about the talent
Yeah.
gap that we have today. And I
Yes.
think most of the talent initially was more in-house, right? And that's where
Yes.
they had a very easiness on understanding the business expectations versus what you need to build in while cost, so finance, procurement, and business were kind of,
Exactly.
hand in glove. Today, the scenarios are obviously similar while the goal remains the same, but there has been a lot of guardrails under each subsection. Having said that, done, we have gig workers joining. We
Yes.
have
Yes.
project-based models of work. Is that helping the functions meet the timelines in project or in skilling, or probably it is actually creating a further gap?
Actually, it is helping in the
Mm.
short term, but the company should be smart enough to make sure that while we go for a gig worker for a specific niche skill, we
Mm.
also have the backup plan. While the gig worker completes in few weeks, what
True.
we will do beyond that time to manage
True.
that. So have a shadow resource who is not as competent as the gig worker is, and then make sure from there on they continue the support and other things required to run the same program. So
Understood.
those things we have tried and it's worked well. So I think that should be
Okay.
the way to move
Yeah,
forward. Yes.
yeah. Ajay, what's
Gig
your
workers
view
have
on
helped.
this?
And one more thing,
Sure,
just to add one more point. Today
sure.
we have a lot of freelancers available in India
Yeah,
also,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Whether it is good or bad, many people who are in very good,
Yeah,
positions had to, come out of the companies for whatever reason. So they are available. So it's
true.
only again question of uh, identifying the right, team and then
Yeah,
doing the gig working activity. And from there on, but continuity is a crucial part, Munira. Find
important.
out somebody
Yeah,
who
yeah,
can continue after the gig worker project ends.
yeah. Ajay,
I
your
think
views, and does
just
this
to
also
yeah.
cause any compliance issues? Happy to understand that as well.
Yeah, just to add on the what Ravi said, I think rightly he mentioned about the shadow worker. I think what I agree with that many a times what you need is the current the changes. What is happening is we are living in a world where we have a current we call it whether Gen X or Gen
Gen
Boomer
Z.
or whosoever like what we have, and then Gen Z coming in, right? So there are when it comes to procurement, I think we are all facing it like something is required within 8 hours, within 6 hours, within 4 hours. Okay, so there are a lot of things which is required from like on the front of data quality, predictive analytics, right? A lot of reporting structure, a lot of we are seeing that the investment with the ROI, like we never heard in our earlier career that procurement somebody is talking to procurement on the ROI part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the
Yeah.
word buzzwords now coming into us that what is the ROI for you, right? So we are living in a world where everything is matter. So I think the new generation of the technological the workforce which is coming it, I think they are shadowing very fast on the various parameters, right? The business analytics, like predictive analytics, lot of things they are using in the blockchains, right? The blockchain technology is being used for a lot of data mining. I think which is supporting a lot to the organizations. I think this is really helping us a lot.
Interesting. Samrat, your views. I mean, while we are speaking about, shadow workers, gig workers, we're speaking about project base. From a compliance point of view, is this something that is helping, or at times, it may kind of not, be within the guardrails that the company or the organization would want to look at?
Today, I echo what Ravi and Ajay said. Uh, yes, definitely it is helping us because not everything is available in house, and that's where we have certain dependency on the consultant and then the contract gig workers. So time to market is very essential. The operations that we are having or the customers that we serve. Okay, so that way hiring a person with niche skills from the market always helps. But as Ravi rightly pointed out that these are the short duration project, okay, where we can maybe see a person coming in, supporting with key things, and then moving out. But if at all it's a question about the continuity, that's where we need to see how we can maybe more focus on the developing the in-house talent, and then reduce that dependency on the consultant or the gig workers. So that is a key. Again, maybe uh, the most important aspect is that these people may not maybe understand the culture, the work aspect of the organizations. Okay, so that is very crucial when they are working within team, contributing to the organization. So that's where I see a little gap where they find difficult to maybe uh, collaborate with the existing team. So that we need to see, and then uh, act carefully while bringing those resources into the project environment.
Sure, interesting. Ravi, do you see that, while we are speaking about procurement as a talent, initially, whenever we would need to hire, or maybe probably even today, we're still very experience agnostic, right? Not skill, or probably not looking anywhere outside. While there could be many other alternative channels or alternate skills that could probably add value to the procurement unit. But we always look at the experience, saying that somebody doing this somewhere else exactly same is what I need. How much of that has changed, or is it needed to change, and do you see that changing, and all three things? And again, I would like the Samrat and Ajay to also
So,
share their views.
yeah, so I would say it's a mix of skill plus experience,
Yeah.
Manira, right? And
And what
also,
skill sets do you think today are needed for, let's say, if we need to hire someone, then what are the skill sets that the organization would largely look at?
see, the basically the person should have an approach of adaptability, or I should say, a person should be agile,
Yeah,
right? So today, I would always say change is today's constant
true.
because change is happening always. Change is happening in technology, change is happening in the product world, change is happening within the own organization where there are merger acquisition happening. So the teams are getting split. So one team is moving to a different company. So the procurement person has all the responsibility to make sure that whichever unit has is going to a different company, make sure those contracts are all properly handed out to them. And it's not easy, right? Everything, because when one company it works, it will all be corporate, it will be convoluted. But then you have to make sure that you have to properly, bifurcate and make sure that both businesses run seamlessly. And all this is happening in real time. There is no time for you saying that, bias, I'm going to stop the work down for 1 week, you go on to
Mm.
everything. No, nobody's going to give that time.
True. True.
So I always look at the attitude of the person more than anything else. Even if there is a gap in the skill, if the attitude is right, I'm sure they'll pick up and then they'll become productive. And
Mm.
and these days, of course, everybody will be now computer savvy, so they know the basics
Yeah,
of the system, which they'll be able to learn and then move forward. But the adaptability and then the ability to unlearn and learn. If they are in, probably again within
that's
procurement, we have
important.
got somebody in direct procurement, somebody in indirect procurement. So the person who's in direct procurement would always be dealing with parts, products only for the factory, whereas indirect is a very big world where they have to deal with marketing, HR, facilities, IT, right? So they need to have a different approach to for each of these areas to make sure that they meet the requirement. So that adaptability and approachability is what I would give more marks to while hiring the talent.
Mm. Mm. Ajay, if you may want to add, while Samrat and Ravi both spoke about that skills is more important, the agility is more important. But having said that, and for someone to grow up the ladder, apart from being agile or apart from being digitally tech savvy, what are the few other things that, one needs to look at to kind of build a career into a people supply chain role?
If I think the adding to the point what Ravi said, I think more what I see it from the angle of the way the whole world is moving towards is we need to see the how diversified the talent pools are, right?
Yeah.
We when we see in the procurement or supply chain, I think more than the commodity specialist, what we have to see is the how people are more generalist, right? The way it has been seen, like how do you give an example? How do you see that if you are buying something from European side, and how Russia-Ukraine war is going to impact you, right?
Yeah,
So if you don't know the geography of that area, you don't know the relationship between the European and Russian about America, then how you analyze your buying power from there? So okay, you get stuck up with the very minimalistic information what media has to give it to you, but you have to be more agile about your source of operations, your source of raw material you are buying from that area, and that is where I think, like give an example in our own industry, we used to buy a lot from Germany, which is based on the this energy based industry, right? When this war started, suddenly the organization stopped operations because they were not able to get the energy from Russia. So what is the next? What is the backup for us? And then we started build up all this information based. Then we started building up our inventory level, which is gone now from 3 to 4 months to now 1 year. So there are a lot of this parameter are generalists which need to be known to the people who are has to become into this profile. I think the time has come where people or the skill set has to be there where more geographical knowledge, more of the economist, more of the I think that's why I call it more from a commodity to generalist knowledge. I think that will give a complete mindset change, right? It is not it is radical change of the mindset of the people who are in the procurement functions. So it's not like a going from a non-core area to the core area. That's what we call is like a indirect to going to sourcing specialist, right? That is where I think the to manage the risk, manage the entire pool of sourcing activity. I think that is where the changes are happening, and we need to see the people migrating towards that.
Interesting, very interesting. Samrat, we're also talking about procurement as a role, function, evolved in largely the traditional industries. If we talk about specifically, let's say India, and now when they are also more digital, every organization today is moving towards automation transformation. Yet, do you see a major difference between the supply chain ecosystem of a global capability center that is coming to India and a traditional Indian large conglomerate? I mean, how do you see those two units? While the focus of the global capability center is more KPIs are towards cost as a long-term plan, whereas for the traditional industry, it can't just be cost, but it also needs to be optimization of resources, functions, and a lot of other things, right? So is that a binding constraint for the traditional companies versus the GCCs because they've not seen the flavor of, or rather the variation of, and spike up and spike down? What are your views?
So, Munira, I think what currently we are seeing GCC as a trend, I think most of the organizations were operating in the similar fashion. Maybe we are now calling it GCC. So there is always a KPI-driven procurement function, but maybe the priorities were different at that time. Now everybody is talking about the how we can bring the flavor of technology apart from the cost optimization. Obviously, cost optimization is a basic core requirement or expectations of the procurement function. But over and above, how we can maybe turn around time is.
We lost you, Samrat.
I think we lost Samrat.
Yeah. Ravi, you want to just quickly continue to what Samrat is trying to put across, the GCCs and the traditional supply chain ecosystem?
See, I think GCC is definitely the buzzword now. But what is happening is, even earlier, India had the capability. Not that India did not have the capability, but
absolutely, we
the
had
whole
captives.
yeah,
We used to call them captives,
we
I
had
believe.
captives. Yeah, we have so many companies working, for decades together here.
Absolutely.
But only good thing is the acceptance of the other world, like India as one of the key partners in the whole ecosystem is what is key. So whatever you may say, I think Samrat joined back. As technology evolved, as information got more revolution happened, so people started seeing India as one of a key player to partner, and that is how so many companies started opening centers in India. So, and that's how the GCCs became more prevalent. And we also bring in two major advantages. One being the time zone. The time zone of India is actually 78%, I should say, for lack of a better word, 78% merging or covering across the
More
globe.
acceptable across,
More
I think, major
acceptable,
continents.
right
Yeah.
from Australia in the morning
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
US in the night, right?
Correct.
So that
I
is
think
where
we
India became a key.
Yeah.
And second thing is language. We do talk good, reasonable English. People can
Absolutely.
understand. And
Absolutely.
third, definitely our cost compared to many Western countries, they're always better. So
Better.
that is where GCCs become more prevalent, and all the companies had the rich dividends by opening GCCs here.
True.
So
True.
yes, Samrat, you can
Yes,
continue.
Samrat,
Sorry, I
we
was
have
just
you
filling
back.
in. Yeah, due to
Yes,
technical
Samrat,
issue.
please.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I lost my connection, but I think I do agree with Ravi. So the talent pool available, the language that we speak, and then the other benefits that we have as in a geography is always helping people or the organizations to set up their GCCs in the India, and then I think even for traditional organizations, people are thinking that way. There is no crunch of talent, so
Yeah.
we are at par and then catching up with that trend
Yeah.
with the expectations that we have.
But do we see a trend of while the other roles from the globe get transitioned to India, and earlier we have started with more of the entry level roles, and then now the core roles are also coming to India. Within the procurement as a function, do you see that the entire role, or rather the unit transformation, will be completely shifted and authority to be given to India Center, or we still see that India will continue to be only more of the operational transactional aspects of procurement, while the strategic initiatives are done at the global centers? What is your opinion on that, Samrat?
So I don't think that will change on immediate basis. So people will retain what is core to their organization.
Yeah.
Not on immediate basis, they will move the entire responsibilities, ownership to the GCC. It's not happening on immediate basis, but definitely the kind of talent pool that we are having, the kind of confidence that the organizations are getting by setting up those GCCs, it will gradually evolve. But to start with, the core will remain with the parent organization, and then people will start contributing to the maybe non-core and operational things time being.
Sure. Yeah, that's very interesting. Ajay, trying to touch upon a very different aspect of diversity, and DEI initiatives are being called across all functions. We started initially by saying that HR is the most easiest space for women to be. That no longer persists, and we see women probably everywhere in any function. In fact, the other day I was reading saying that we have increasingly growth in sales in India, where women employees are more and more moving. Within procurement as a team, which was somewhere a 3-member team and now probably even a 30-member team in many organizations, still the percentage of women employees is relatively lesser, I would say. Why do you think that is? And what do you think are some of the initiatives, as a woman job seeker, that this role can be attractive for?
First of all, let me tell you that uh, when we started our career, there was no buzzword like supply chain or logistics. It was all like a materials management,
True.
purchase, stores, inventory
Absolutely.
control. So these are not a like a fancy words, right? These
Yeah.
were not always looked into a very lucrative way of career build up,
Yeah.
and it was always be seen as a man dominated because
Yeah.
work wise, and always it was a challenging things, and which never been taken as a that role as a centric role for a diversity if you will talk about. But what I see the last 5 to 10 years, I think, yeah, every aspect of organization, they have taken a very serious way into that. Like even when we go to the campuses for hiring or any other, we always see that, okay, at least we have some talent pool are available, which always be seeing it from the diversity point of view, not only just to fulfill 30% of the quota, but always we see as a priority and responsibility. They are taking it in the role itself, right? Another example I'll give you that I attend a lot of conferences. So when I nowadays I see it like more than 20-30% people are participating in supply chain conferences are women there. Like all women are participating, and they are in the panel discussions, and they're actively participating in the role aspect of it. So slowly those gaps are coming it up, but still a lot way we need to convince across the academia, industry, all these relations, and I think various roles are there where we, as a mentor now, to at least propagate this into the wide diversity, into every area, that people, at least these roles are very like a board centric role now. After thanks to COVID, supply chain has become a boardroom topic, and we have also been
Yeah.
been some responsibility coming into the board when we talk about the sales ROI and everything. We are involved into that. So basically, to identify the roles, which is part of the diversifying the whole aspect of procurement. I think that is where this diversity inclusion should come. One more topic I wanted to touch upon here is how we are really diversifying our supply base, our suppliers, where it is a woman centric. Women entrepreneurs are coming, right?
Absolutely.
Are we really targeting those
Yeah.
areas? Because
True.
always we see comparison. We will always be very open, like okay, with distinct discussion with the man to man, right? We
Yeah.
never
Very true.
those thing of like marketing, sales, and HR. Always we see a different way. But I think time has come in supply chain and procurement to see these aspects are coming in. I think within my team, if you see around in my where I'm currently working, I think 10 to 15% are women employed. Even in the procurement, I have couple of them are there. So I think that is a broad roles are coming, and it is our responsibility to take in a full-fledged way, that because they take all the responsibility like men can take it. I think that is where we have to continuously evaluate, monitor, and see that things are being covering in all the aspects of inclusion when we're talking about.
No, very interesting,
So,
Ajay. You've hit the right point. Yeah. And I'd like to ask Ravi and Samrat, in continuation to what Ajay is talking about, and he mentioned a very valid point of campus hiring. While we are looking at hiring from an academia point of view, one, do you think that there are, as a country, we've evolved in specialization of certain roles, which is where do we have a specific, degree or probably a certification, maybe yes, certification for sure, but there's no specific degree as such for procurement which qualifies me to be at a particular level within procurement or people supply chain. So where are we there? Also, second follow-up is that a lot of organizations today are probably evolving in terms of designing the course curriculum. Let's say if it's an AI, or if it's to do with data engineering, or if it's to do with technical architecturing, they do take up those institutional syllabuses and are designing. But related to procurement, have we made any change there, or do you see that happening in the near future?
so Munir, I think you got a very good point. So basically, the how many roles we have in a company for a procurement or supply chain. While we
Absolutely.
may need maybe 500,000 engineers to develop a product to run through
True.
it,
True.
maybe we need only a portion of that or a fraction of that count for
True.
supply chain or procurement. So I think that is where the industries is not seeing a big commercial value. I think that's one of the reason. But
Mhm.
today we have supply chain MBAs, even from IIMs, even from SPJ, and even from many of the reputed organizations are all doing at a very high level. But at a lower level, I think any degree person can start, but based on their aspiration, they can go on and take up these courses and then do it. I think that's one of the main reasons why commercially we don't have specific courses that has evolved,
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
right?
In
And
spite to Ajay's point, when he spoke about that, initial days of procurement, more
yeah,
male-dominated roles. But if you look at the whole irony of the situation, in fact, procurement, unless you start being a storekeeper yourself or probably being an inventory manager
yes,
in the factory premises, if you take away that, within the capex also, we did not have any women, because while that was an
yes,
office-centric job, that was
correct.
not even a field job for that matter. I would have still understood that MR woman left in 3 months, or probably, women in sales or women in electrical factory plant would not stay around at the shop floor. But in spite of this whole situation being more office centric job also, I don't think it was attractive. So maybe, yeah, commercially one of the reasons,
Yes.
maybe not a
But
flashy
Exactly.
to put on the
And
profile.
as Ajay rightly mentioned, right, it is not having that
Not glamorous
the
enough.
glamorous enough. And actually, irony is, to be honest, women are better negotiators. You go to any sabzi wala, women does better negotiation than any one of us, right? They get the better prices, and we have seen it day in and day out.
Yeah.
So with some hand holding, I can
Yeah.
tell you, a lot of women can be very
Yeah.
successful in procurement because by nature they're very analytic in nature. One.
Yes.
And secondly, I also have my own colleagues in Europe and America doing very well. So
Yes,
I
absolutely.
don't
I think
see
globally the
why.
numbers are very
Yes,
huge, if I'm
yes,
not wrong, right?
yes, yes.
Compared to what
So I think
India.
somewhere in India also, I think by now with all this technology coming in, maybe more women will get attracted and come into this field. But there is a lot of potential, and with DI being implemented, I think there is more scope
Yeah, yeah.
for them to do well.
Samrat, happy to know your views on this, from what you've been doing and across in procurement. What is your opinion? I think is there any mentors, guiding more women employees to do this? There's enough happening at the academia level that you see or should be done? Government led initiatives towards supply chain, what are your views on that?
So, Munira, there is a long way to go. Okay, I do agree with Ravi. Uh, it's not a glamorous role, and then again, there is not much awareness that this role exists, and then these are the contribution that a person can have into this role. So definitely there are certification courses available, but I don't see much happening on the degree courses. Uh, so need to have a focused effort going into that direction. We should be having specialized degree courses to be designed specifically for the procurement and supply chain that will help the organization to build that talent pool. Otherwise, then we have to rely on the freshers, train them, mentor them, and then bring them up to the speed. So that is one aspect. So definitely there is an opportunity for everyone to contribute into that initiative. That is one thing. Secondly, you spoke about the role of women into the procurement function. So let me tell you, when I joined LTTS, I was having less than 5% women associates into my team, and now I'm very proud to say that I'm having more than 30% woman representative in the procurement function. And as Ravi rightly said that they are better negotiator, they are better deal cracker, and I'm absolutely happy with the kind of performance that women employees are having into this organization, into this function. So yes, definitely some mentorship is required, handholding is required, but I think uh, they can do wonders, and then that's what I'm maybe experiencing now with that kind of diversity into my team.
Very interesting, very interesting. I think we've been discussing a lot on what overall this unit and this functionality of procurement is, and why more women-led leaders need to join. At the same point in time, I think what we also are trying to understand is that how the evolution of this role probably has a very high impact on both
Yeah.
business units as well as the skilling and servicing of a partner. So while we always speak about choosing the right partner, which means the assessment here, the skills of assessing become very crucial.
Yes.
We may have data, we may have analytics, we may have all the possible tools to do the right set of skilling. But at the same point in time, there is no mode of visual understanding of the capability or capacity of a partner. Ajay, could you tell us what could be the one or two matrix that one should build on upon to have the right set of assessments, because reading the data is also very crucial, right? While data's job is to throw data, but reading the data is also, so interpretation of the data is a very crucial thing, and which probably comes from both, not just experience alone, but skill plus experience both. So in your opinion, if you could tell us what could be one or two such matrix that helps in assessments.
I think with the traditional the KPIs or the dashboards, what we look into, I think additionally what the shift is happening is what we have to see is what are the supplier skill quality that is defects, right? Which is very important, right? When we talk about supplier relationship management, so what are the the supplier skill quality rate is there. And the secondly, if I have to take it, then what are the compliance rate? I think compliance is one of the area I think most of us in procurement till now was not that keen, because it was like a, maybe a separate function is looking at the compliance. But I
Yes.
think in a total, the total, it has to be within the framework of procurement, and that is, I think, the compliance rate, the efficiency of that is very vital for any organization to consider. The compliance of any matter, right? Okay, compliance of various things. So I think this too is what I see the is a complete change what is
Yeah.
happening in the domain.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Ravi, you may want to add on to
Yeah.
from what
So
Ajay, anything from your side that you think that is crucial?
yeah, I completely agree with Ajay. So basically, whatever we do in the supplier business review, right, be it quarterly or half yearly, that is where it becomes crucial. And we also seen what supplier brings into the table. What are the value adds supplier can bring in, and they also have some good ideas which can be considered by the company for better efficiency improvement and also for overall win-win situation for both company and the whole project. And to add to Ajay, what he mentioned on compliance, earlier, to be honest, when something related to HR, labor department, no, HR will take care. We do not. No, today, situation is that, okay, which supplier it is, why they're not doing fine, okay, have call them, get it, rectified. Similarly, even with the GST portal being enabled, everything is now electronic. So finance team will immediately come to us saying that, guys, this many suppliers have not done proper GST compliance. Can you? So the whole thing is getting integrated by digital. It's actually working well. It's
Working.
really giving the real value for procurement, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. I
Right?
think it also brings in the compliance and the necessary
Yes.
sustenance of the whole
Yes.
scheme of doing things, because this
Things.
is something that you do more from a long-term perspective. I
Exactly.
think now it is also not, I'm sure that that's one of the very big evolutions, right? I think initially we had a lot of things which were more short-term. And when I mean short-term, it's probably a year or 2 years window. We now see that this is extended to about a 3 and even 5 years window in some cases.
Exactly. And also we have moved from transactional movement, value to a strategic value. So
Strategic.
even though we may do a small value purchase, it may be just an office supply, but we know
Correct.
exactly what is
Yeah.
that we're buying. Printing
Yeah.
business cards. These things were all not considered very crucial earlier. But today we know
Absolutely.
exactly what
Yeah.
it is, whether it is done rightly or not, and what went wrong and how it can be rectified going forward.
Yeah.
So that the whole system has evolved to be to the benefit of procurement, and that is what even people should understand, and then
Mm.
support the whole thing for a better value.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. No, I think we've been having very interesting conversation, and I don't see that this probably has to end very soon. But we have time constraint, and we have
Okay.
a lot to discuss. But I would like to kind of make a last quick question to all three of my panelists, and probably they can answer in a word or maybe in a statement or two. What is the biggest disruption that you see in supply chain in the years to come ahead? And do you see any? And if yes, then what could be, as in your views, one of that which is like a disruption for the supply chain further as we move ahead? Sabrat, maybe starting with you and then move on to Ajay and Ravi.
So, Munir, I think it's not a hidden fact. Now, everybody is talking about the technology. How quickly we adopt technology
Yes.
into the supply chain is very key and crucial for the organization to succeed in coming years. So, for me, it's adoption of technology and
Purely
how quickly we
technology.
adopt it.
Interesting, interesting, absolutely. And that's exactly why organizations are also looking at having in-house digital hubs to kind of,
Yes.
enable integration or rather upgradation of the same systems, because every second day there's a new thing coming up, and that's why you need to upgrade so efficiently. Yeah. Ajay, what do you think apart from technology? Anything that you feel?
So, apart from the technology, I think one area which I think touch base is the sustainable procurement, sustainable sourcing. I think that it's the era is which is already started. I think we are already behind the race. Not only all till race, but it is. I think it's a lot to be done. And 80% of, if you see the scope 1, 2, and 3, when we come to scope 3, then 70 to 80% of work is has to be done by the procurement function, right? If you see the data analytics. So I think the era which is going to be there, where we talk about sustainable procurement, I think the biggest support or activity has to be done by procurement leaders. And I think there we need to do a lot of risk management proposition. And risk management is to see it from the various angle, whether the ethical buying we are doing it, or the source of material. When I say like my own industry, from the metals, right?
Yeah.
The right from the mines from where we are getting the metal to the end consumer, are right, whether it is moving from that, and whether it is we are doing the circular economy, are we really going to that? So these are, I think, for me, it is like a sustainable procurement is going to be an era for us, and I think a lot of work is required from us to do this compliance.
Very interesting, Ajay. Thank you so much. Yes, Ravi.
I would say agility, Manira, because everything people want like this now, right? There is no time. And the whole procurement life cycle, people are expecting it to be shortened, rightly so, because in the whole world is moving very fast. We also need to catch up with that. Like Ajay somewhat mentioned, technology has to be right. Like Ajay mentioned, should be sustainable procurement. So the processes what we build has to sustain for long, also should enable quick decision making and move forward. So
Very
that is
nice.
what I think is the
Very nice. And I think
requirement
I'll
today.
end it with compliance. So that completes the
Yes,
task, which is
yes, yes.
technology, agility, sustainability, and
And
compliance.
compliant.
So
True.
that completes the task, and that completes our webinar session. So very
Okay.
interesting, a beautiful session. Thank you very much to all the panelists for sharing your views and thoughts. We definitely want to continue this series ahead. I'm sure we have a lot of questions from our viewers. We would post them separately to you and have
Sure.
your answers and put them. Very happy to have you all. Thank you very much once again. Thank you to all our listeners and viewers. Stay tuned for many more updates on TeamLease Digital. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, our
Thank you. Thank
listeners.
you, Manoj.
Thanks, Madhura.